Tonight's topic is about returning power back to yourself and recognizing where you're losing your power, seeing where your energy is being lost, where your mind wastes energy, and returning this energy back to yourself from directing into something that is not beneficial back to yourself. A lot of energy is directed to that which is not beneficial for you, but it happens subconsciously and automatically. So as we know that 96% of human consciousness is closed on average. So therefore, the access to this energy and your real self is very limiting for the average person. However, even the so-called difficult situations or emotions are also consuming your energy. When you feel fear, your energy flows into fear, to feel the fear. When you feel anger, your energy flows into anger, to feel the anger. So your energy is utilized for the lower purposes. And many years ago, I realized a very important lesson. To know what to do, and more importantly, to know what not to do. And I would like to focus much more on the knowledge of what not to do. You can already feel your mind's attraction to knowing what to do. I want that. The mind is addicted to knowing what to do. But the 95% of importance is in the knowledge of what not to do. And that is where you will realize how you can save your energy, how you can use it for a constructive, beneficial purpose. So you will come to understand that the knowledge of what not to do is far more important. For example, is it necessary to think so much? No, not really. Is it necessary to argue with somebody so much? No, not really. It is perhaps important to make a point or to explain yourself, but to spend 2 hours in an argument is certainly unnecessary. If you will closely observe yourself, you will realize that you have so many things that you don't need or you don't even want. For example, you have so many thoughts and you don't need them and you don't even want them. You have so many difficult emotions. You don't need them. You don't even want them, but you have them. And that is where the law of attraction is also plays a role. Because having certain thoughts and not wanting to have certain thoughts can also be focused. So if you focus on that which you don't want, if you focus on that which you don't want, you're still focusing on it. And the law of attraction is still valid. It's gonna still be resonating with that which you don't want. So focusing on that which you don't want is still law of attraction. And the universe will say, well, since you're focusing on it, there is a certain attraction to that which you don't want. Perhaps you need more things that you don't want. And this is just automated law of attraction, automated system, universal law. And therefore, consciously, you need to start bringing power back to yourself, because subconsciously you're constantly losing it. Because through your habits, you're constantly losing your power. And you're constantly willingly giving it away. For example, argument or blame is a willing way to give your power away to something else. Because blame is giving your responsibility to somebody else and giving your power away to somebody else, and of course nothing good comes out of it. So it's a waste of energy. Every moment you should check what is happening and what you're doing. What you are doing. Yes, what you are doing. Not only what is happening to you, but what you are doing. And you will recognize that you are doing so many things that are not beneficial to your own self. And there are certain habits. There are certain things that you constantly think about. There are certain worries that you continuously fuel. There are certain anxieties that you constantly fuel. We are living already in a quite abundant reality. You can easily go to a supermarket and you can get the cheese and bread and eggs. You don't have to raise your chickens anymore. You don't have to do your cheese anymore. You don't have to bake your bread anymore. We're no longer living in a survival mode, but emotionally, somehow people are still living in an emotional survival mode. Physically, there are no more dangers as such, apart from the fear virus. And there are even less cases of death than from a common flu. People don't take even any facts in their heads. They're completely lost in the fear. Even the facts are no longer valid. The science is no longer valid. The fear is totally valid. So people are living in a fear, in an emotional survival mode. Because physically there is no threat as such. There are no more wars and real threats. So essentially, there is emotional survival going on right now. And if you look around in your environment, is that really the case? Is somebody threatening you? No, not really. So why you're constantly treating yourself and others as if there is a real threat going on? And we can see this manifestation on a mass global scale that the virus is not really so dangerous after all. There are more people dying from flu, literally from a seasonal flu, but there is emotional threat. And now it's visible on a global scale. And is that really necessary? Of course not. So this is a manifestation in the collective consciousness. But the manifestation only is valid because individually people are still doing that. Unnecessary things. Things that are not good for your own self. So you will come to recognize more and more that you have abundantly things that you don't need. That you have abundantly things that you don't want. And you're pursuing certain things that you want. So the wisdom of knowing what not to do, it's a real-time self-check. Real-time self-check. Real-time conscious check. But where is your focus? And the focus is the tricky part. Because you feel a bad feeling, and naturally, somehow your focus immediately focuses on it. Or there comes up an issue and suddenly you focus on it. It happens automatically. And this is exactly the moment, your focus is exactly the moment that you need to become aware of. Are you focusing on anxiety more than it's necessary? Probably yes. Are you focusing on the things that you don't like? Probably yes. If you're focusing on the things that you don't like, how can you be ever happy? Start focusing on the things that you like. Start focusing on happiness. Start focusing on things that are of love and peace and goodness. And this is how the mind keeps itself alive. This is how the mind receives its fuel. By focusing on something it doesn't like and continuing complaining about it, continuing worrying about it. And this is exactly where the mind gets the food. So even the mind itself, it's caught up in a loop. And the biggest problem is ignorance. And therefore, I invite every one of you to bring your awareness to the real-time check, to the real-time moment to self-check. What are you focusing on? And do you really want to focus on that? Or should you rather change your focus? So bringing your awareness to that, you will start recognizing that it's not as easy as well. Because there are certain emotions that you have been perpetuating for decades. And it's going to take a little while to heal that. There are certain beliefs that you have been holding for decades, for years. So certain things have a certain momentum, certain heaviness, certain integration that you have made into yourself. And therefore, that's where comes the healing process, to unroot those habits, to unintegrate, to refocus, to retrain yourself for the conscious, positive source awareness, for the conscious, positive source energy, for a real-time monitoring of your own focus, of your own self. And healing is a big part of it. Because it's quite easy to change your focus for a bit onto something positive and nice, but then the old problem comes back and swings you away for the half of the day. Yes, I know how it works. And that's the difficult bit. And you will recognize, yes, that there is a certain addiction to certain emotions that you have been feeling for the last few years. And yes, you are holding certain anxieties because your mind doesn't know. So it's holding anxiety about that which it doesn't know. And you will recognize that there are certain insecurities. And these insecurities are holding anxieties. And anxieties are triggering a lot of thoughts. And therefore it's a loop after loop after loop, where you're losing your energy constantly. So every day, 5, 10 times a day at least, you should check yourself and continuously recenter, recenter, recenter. And a lot will be revealed to you. A lot of things will be revealed to you, and probably not the most beautiful things will be revealed to you. If you think that you're going to suddenly find love and peace and happiness, at first you're going to find so much rubbish. At first you're going to find so much dirt. So many things that you have been holding for decades, for years. And you have to clean your house. You have to clean your living room. That where you're living. And when you clean the living room, when you clean inside you, that's where natural light comes in. Love shows up. Because they are already here. Light, love, peace, and so forth, they're higher vibrations. They're subtler vibrations. They're already in the background, waiting for you to clean your house. When you clean your house, they're in the background. They are already here, available, accessible. But only when you clean your house. When you stop focusing on the lower vibrations. When you're focusing on the lower vibrations, that is your reality. And there's nobody else doing that apart from you. And who else can help you to change your focus? Of course, I can help you by educating you, by guiding you. But it is you who have to change your focus. It is you who is doing what you're doing. And I can only tell you as a clear mirror what you are doing to your own self. I'm acting as a clear mirror, as a reflection of truth that can show you exactly what is happening right now. And therefore, when you clean your living room, your inner living room, things become lighter. There's a relief that you cleared some corners, some dirty luggages, you cleaned the dust, you took out the rubbish, and you feel that lightness. You feel it's there. And it's a periodic cleaning that you need to do. It's actually a daily cleaning that you need to do. Sometimes there's a longer processes of healing. They take a little while. maybe a good meditation, healing practice, half an hour, 1 hour. Sometimes you can't do it in one go, so you do it in a few times to tackle some big ones, the biggies. But rest assured that during the healing process, these biggies and low vibrational energies are being cleared. And therefore your base or average vibrational frequency rises. And as you come to a certain threshold of your rising base average frequency, then there are these marker points called the levels of consciousness that when you reach a certain cleanliness, we can say, then you're ready for the next level of consciousness. There's a certain big shift happens, a certain big opening happens. And then you establish yourself on a higher base vibration, on a higher frequency. So as you monitor, as you do the real-time self-check, pay attention to that which you should not do. This is the key message tonight. To pay attention to that which you should not do, which you should not continue doing. Certain patterns, habits, certain actions. And in your consciousness, at the back of your mind, you already know that these certain things are not good that you're doing. But to still keep on doing it. Why? It's a habit. Because it's a habit, because it's automated. Yes, you are automated. You're a programmable being. Your body is a biological quantum computer. It is programmable. And some things are automated. Actually, many things are automated. Your blood circulation is automated. Your heartbeat is automated. Your breath is automated. Your hearing capacity is automated. You're doing nothing, basically, apart from observing what is happening and trying to figure out with the limited capacity of your mind and focus. But you have so little of your own body, apart from where to move your body parts. But otherwise, everything else is inside you is automated. And it is programmable. And you can change that. And you can reprogram yourself for the high vibrational living, for a positive source energy. You can reprogram yourself for the boundless experience. And as you clean your living room, you will recognize that awareness is already here. And that is the lightest thing that there ever is. The light of consciousness, the light of awareness is the lightest and cleanest and purest thing that there is. But to stay there, you have to recognize this lightest and cleanest and purest thing that there ever is. And to help you to recognize, I can tell you one thing, is that your awareness even allows you to experience all of the mess of your mind and emotions. This lightest, cleanest, purest thing allows you unconditionally to experience that which you are experiencing. This consciousness is untouchable. It's pure beyond purity or dirtiness. It cannot be broken, it cannot be divided, it cannot be burned, or it cannot get wet. But it allows everything to be experienced like this right now. So there are two components: to realize the nature of consciousness, the nature of your own allowingness, openness, unconditional allowingness. Even all the suffering is allowed because consciousness allows that. Of course, your mind, your body doesn't like that. And then you can change your experience. Yes, you can do that. And there is a certain meeting point that certain things need to be healed, need to be changed, so that this consciousness can be fully experienced as it truly is. Because essentially you are not allowing yourself to experience the purity and lightness of consciousness. And how can you say that I'm not allowing it? Because I want it. Your mind wants it, but it is a conscious thought. Some people have a strong desire. But then there is 90% of all the heaviness that is still kept by yourself, by your own self. So if you have 10% of desire to experience consciousness, but you're keeping 90% of all the rubbish, of course there is no balance. Because the rubbish, all the trash, all the heaviness is pulling you down. Your focus is immediately grabbed and pulled down. Something else comes up, your focus is grabbed and pulled down. So therefore you have to retrain yourself how to keep your focus under control and how to realize that actually you are this lightness of allowingness itself. And then you are also aware of your own focus, isn't it? So today's topic is more on the practical nature, the wisdom of what not to do, and your focus is the key. So you have your focus, you recognize what you're doing, change it. Don't do it. There is awareness behind it, recognizing, oh, this is not good for me. And then you're focusing, and then don't do it. And then, as we discussed, there is a healing process to be done. There is a third element, a third component, which is also very, very important. It is interference. So a little complexity is that humanity is extremely interfered as a species, as a civilization. Interference is basically like a bad connection. Or if you remember, for those who are older, the TV sets where there was the antenna, and then if the antenna is not placed correctly, then the movie is like, and they're just flickering on the screen. So that's called interference, because the signal is not clear. So humanity is extremely interfered by certain fourth dimensional, we can say, interferences, or fourth dimensional pressures. Interferences and pressures. There are certain energies and certain entities that are interfering and pressurizing. So let's say you're sitting for a nice dinner at a restaurant with your loved one, or with your family, with your mom and dad, And suddenly out of the blue sky, something happens. And everybody starts arguing. Hold on a moment. Just 5 minutes ago, everything was fine. And now it's a full-blown drama. How did that happen? Well, these things happen with interferences. That certain external energies and entities come in between and they start pushing the buttons. So these are called interferences. And one of the biggest global interference is the interference of separation and division. It is the story of Adam and Eve in the heaven. Everything was fine. And then the snake came up and seduced. Do you want to know, it said, do you want to know the difference between good and evil? Oh, of course I want to know. It's interesting. And that's like a very primitive children's story. But essentially, yes, there are certain interfering energies and they come in between. And they create, it is their goal to create division, separation, anger, fear, and all the emotions to separate. And the separation is not only between two people, it is also the inner separation within you from your own self. And due to the lack of awareness, a person starts believing in what they're hearing. And that has been happening for thousands of years. That somebody was talking in somebody's head. And somebody got confused. Is it God talking to me now? Who is talking to me now? Who is talking inside you? You call it the mind. And sometimes you have negative thoughts, and why you're listening to them. Why you keep listening to these negative thoughts. Change your focus. It is not so scary as well as it may sound, because you simply need to change your radio station. You know, on certain frequency of radio station, there are all these like naughty and bad entities. Like, you know, maybe you suddenly tuned into a hard rock, I don't know, metal, or, you know, like some crazy, you know, concert, you know, where everybody's going nuts, you know. And then the next moment you can push a button and tune into some other TV channel of, let's say, travel or something else. These are different TV channels. These are different frequencies that you can tune into. And once again, how do you tune into? With your focus, with your conscious choice. So you also can bring awareness to the interferences, that something suddenly feels strange, that something suddenly goes bad, that suddenly there are triggers, that suddenly there are bad emotions out of nowhere. And these are the interferences. And they have been affecting humanity for thousands of years. And of course, fear is one of the major ones. Fear, anger, sadness, and so forth. All of these so-called usual emotions are actually fourth dimensional interferences. And humanity has been used to it for thousands of years. It became part of the DNA. It became integrated into the collective psychology. So from the pure state of consciousness, there was a fall and humanity has fell. and fell into a bad company. We can say in the biblical terms, fell into the company of a snake. And to some extent it is true that people are still listening and believing in that. There's a big majority of humanity who are awakening. An awakening in realization of love and realization of light and peace. But this awakening needs to be conscious awakening. And therefore education is needed of what's really going on. That there are interferences and you have to choose. You have to see what you're focusing on. And you have to continuously heal and transcend these lower vibrational energies so that you resonate less and less and less with them. So in a natural being, you experience lightness. There's an ease of being. There is openness. And even if interference comes, it comes as a wind. In a pure natural state, it comes as a wind and it just blows through. Because you're consciously not choosing it anymore. You're consciously not interacting anymore. Just like seeing something, I don't know, a cat running on the street or a bird flying in the sky. It doesn't really touch you, isn't it? A bird flies by. So even if interference comes through, it just flies by. Because you're not interacting with it. Because you're not resonating with it anymore. So that's where comes the law of resonance. What do you resonate with? And the law of attraction. The law of vibration, frequency, harmony, balance. And that's where education is needed. Realization of how things actually work. The first realization that you have awareness. The second realization that you have a focus. That you can change and choose your focus, what to focus on. And then there are processes. There are long-term, heavy habits, programs that you have been programmed or habituated yourself. You can even habituate yourself negatively. Some people became experts at negative habits, and that was their choice, unconscious choice, ignorant choice. So you need to come back to the choice, every moment, real-time check, and choosing your focus. And then there are processes of healing. Some things can be healed quickly, some things take quite a while, a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, even a few months, if something you've been carrying for a decade or 20 years. And ultimately coming back again to realize the nature of awareness, the nature of consciousness. That awareness and consciousness is so inclusive that it allows this moment to be experienced like this, even if you don't like it. And then, of course, depending on your mental ego identity, you might resist that. Or depending on your relaxation, the capacity to allow increases. And ultimately, everything is allowed. Ultimately, everything is allowed, but then it is not attached anymore. Interference comes and it goes. You're not acting conditionally with attachment to it. So let's do a practice all together, a meditation of coming back to your natural being. So you can make yourself comfortable. And take a few moments to slow down, to feel your breath, to recenter yourself to your breath, to focus on the present moment on your breath. And then you can notice your body. Your body is here, it is in the present moment. And you can notice your senses, your five senses overall. That you have senses here now overall. For those who are more sensitive, you can feel your aura, or you can simply feel 20, 30, 50 centimeters around your body, your aura field. But there is certain aliveness just beyond your skin. There is a certain sensitivity, a certain aliveness just outside your skin. And those who are more sensitive, you can feel even your energy field extending a meter or 2 meters or more further out. And you can come back to the place of your comfort. If it's your body sensing, your senses, your aura, you can go back where it feels easier for you. So that is your being, being present, being here, feeling overall. And let's spend more time feeling overall, feeling whole, complete, overall. You can further relax your focus and attention and let it simply expand and drop into the whole body, feeling overall. And if your mind wanders somewhere else, bring it back to the center. Feel your breath again. Feel your body, your senses, aura, energy field. It is very natural and simple to be. Your body is already naturally simply here. And you can retrain your mind to stay simply here and to choose not to engage with what comes up and to monitor and check yourself if you get diverted if your focus drifts away somewhere else, if you start interacting with something else, So ready, slowly start coming back. And it is so natural to be in the body. Feel the body. Feel it where you are. It is a natural peacefulness, a natural joy. And this ability to simply be, to simply feel, is your capacity of being. In this simple being, your focus is naturally settled and open. It kind of merges with the body. And when you come out, your focus contracts back into your forehead and the mind begins again. So this practice that we did today is returning to the natural being. It is simple being. It is very easy, very simple, very natural. And somehow everybody has really habituated out of the simple being into the complexities of understanding, into the complexities of focused energies, focused emotions that never end. That is complicated. You can't ever really figure it all out. And the best way is to stop trying to figure it all out. The best way is to come back to that which is present. The breath, the body, the senses, the aura, the energy field. It's always present, always here, in the present moment. It's impossible for your body not to be in the present moment. Only your attention and focus can be not in the present moment. But for your body, it is impossible not to be in the present moment. So luckily you have a body, because your body is reminding you to be in the present moment. So therefore you need a constant retraining to recenter your mind, to bring back your attention, your focus, to check what you're focusing on, to stop doing that, to recenter back again, to come back to that which is natural, that which is here, that which is simple. Consciousness is simple. Just like simply your body is simply here. And it's so natural to simply be with the body in the body and not somewhere else. So that is a conscious retraining. How to be human again. Conscious retraining. And you will notice that your mental energies will recenter. Your emotional energies will recenter. You're going to start yawning out things. You can start laughing out things. You can start crying out things. You will start healing things. Simple being. Simply here. The complications are all that stuff that is not here, that you have focused on that. That is very complicated. But with this practice, you can simply come back, recenter into that which is simply here. So simple, simply here. It's not complicated for your body to be here, like this now. It's not complicated. For you to understand whatever you want to understand, that's complicated. Stop trying. Because why do you need this whole understanding? Maybe you feel not safe. That's why you keep on reading things and doing things and trying to figure it out. Maybe you're just fueling your unsafety. Maybe you're just trying to avoid it, trying to cover it up. But when you feel your body, how can you feel unsafe? When you really feel your body, your overall body, when you feel it, the unsafety is gone. Because you feel your whole body. You're no longer in emotional unsafety, because emotional unsafety only is due to not feeling your overall body. So you understand the complexities that have arisen because you're not simply in your body. So this is one of the simplest teachings, one of the simplest things in practice, how to be human again, how to be in your body again. This part is very simple. It's the simplest teaching that I can ever teach you is how to be human again. All the complexities are that you have habituated ignorantly to be not human anymore. That's where the complexities are. That people have ignorantly habituated to be not human anymore. To be some mental computers, programmed robots, emotional survivors. That's where all the distortions are. Diseases, disharmonies. Sometimes I feel like a medical doctor, to be honest. Yes, because I have to learn all these diseases. I have to really figure them out for you, how to help you easier. So that's part of what I do, figuring out all the problems of humanity. All the possible crazy ways that people think out themselves out of their body in the present moment. So you can recognize that this is sort of a game over for the mind. It's like, yeah, it is so simple actually. But then the mind will say, no, I want to play the game. I want to just do more complicated stuff. And then you're going to get lost in it. And then you're going to suffer. You're going to have all these pains and aches. So don't be cheeky with your mind. Because the mind is going to fool you. It can be cheeky. You can kind of say, okay, I'm going to play the game, but it's going to fool you at the end. And you're going to say, I should have stick with that simple body being. And lastly, what happens when you are in your overall body being? It is so simple, so natural, then you recognize that, oh, actually, you are aware of the simple body being. And it's that simple. There's nothing to add more to that. If you're going to add anything more to that, that will be the mental thing, the mind. So within the simple overall body being, the awareness is already present, and you just recognize that, oh yeah, it is present. But don't mentalize it, because that's where complications are. Don't mentalize it. Don't start thinking about the simplicity of body and simplicity of awareness and think about it. Then you're not in the body anymore, you're not in awareness anymore, you're back in your mind again. So I can call it the simplest teaching ever. Yes, the simplest thing ever. Being in the body is so simple. Recognizing that you are aware of this already, so simple. So where is the complication? It's the need of the mind. I need to understand, I need food, I need to survive, I want to eat, I want to think, I live because I think. These great thoughts arise inside you, the monumental thoughts, the greatest philosophical thoughts. What's the meaning of life and purpose of this body living here right now? All these existential questions will come. All these questions will come because it can't be that simple. I need to think more, live more, understand more, get more into understanding, get lost in understanding, get lost again. So, yeah, so essentially, what are you fueling? The mind. Yes, and that's how it goes. That's how it happens. All right. Any questions on what not to do? Or you feel free to ask any other questions as well. You can also write in the chat how you experience the practice. Yes, okay, Nicole. Sorry. Need to unmute. Sorry, you need to unmute. Yeah, okay.
We did it at the same time. That's why. It's quite an intense meditation. I was quite afraid. Like I haven't done meditation in a while, and something deeper just said like, no, like discipline. You know, you get a lot out of this. This is not a joke. And I did, and it was very comforting to listen to your voice. Actually, I noticed a very nice peacefulness, and it helped a lot. And now thinking about, we're talking about this, like you're joking about it and I'm laughing, but it's still very real, this fear of like, if I'm not in control. Is it just a very deeper foundational thought that is, still persisting on not, how do you say, disidentifying with that fear?
Yes, I'm not in control. Of course, that's the food of the mind. Even this fear that I'm not in control is also the food of the mind. So it's a mental food, actually. And you will recognize that your body is here. It can be peaceful if you want it to be so. And this fear of I'm not in control, it's a fear, and it's the mind, and it's the food, and it's not necessary, because without this fear, you're going to be a lot better, and everything will be a lot simpler. And it's just the way that the mind keeps itself alive or in place. And it's not even a nice place to keep itself alive. Because, for example, excitement, mental excitement, or desire like, for something, a goal, is a more happy mental state. But fear of control is not even a pleasant state, but it's the way the mind keeps itself. And that's the surrender to the naturalness, to your breath, to your body, being here the way it is, sitting like this, like that. It's the surrender to that which is already here, naturally. Can you surrender to your body sitting like this, doing like this thing like this right now? Can you surrender to that?
Yes, because in the next hour I'm not going to go hungry.
Yes, yes. So hunger arises. Yeah, it's hunger. Yes, that's fine.
I know what you're saying. It's just funny. I always come back to this question with you. It's mentally I haven't grasped it.
Of course,
It's the
don't grasp it. Just stay in your body more. Come back to the body more. Come back to the basics. To the basics. I don't want you to grasp things. To give you more understandings and more philosophies. No, I don't want to do. Just come back to the basics. The unexciting basics.
it's very difficult when you put it like that.
That's the surrender. That's the surrender.
Yeah.
That's the surrender. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Feel free. There are these three qualities of Taoism. It's called simplicity, patience, compassion. But let's apply it in the context of the simple being, the body. Simplicity, of course, it's simple. Body is already here, it couldn't be more simple than that. Patience, well, maybe perhaps that means not entertainment of your mind. To be patient, to be simply here. Compassionate means not to get discouraged by that which is not harmonious, because you will recognize healing is needed. So don't get discouraged. Healing is needed. And this surrender is needed. And that needs to be compassionate way, with compassion, which is basically self-love. So for a few moments, I can see that many of you are glimpsing into this natural being. My goodness, yeah, my body is here like this. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Angie, for sharing. Yes. Yes, thank you, Angie. Yeah, the veil has lifted. Exactly. There is also no need for waiting. There's no need for waiting. Because waiting is a certain focus, like a certain frozen moment. What's gonna happen next? That's called waiting, a frozen moment. There's no need for waiting. There's no need for waiting for your body to sit here, for your eyes to see, for your ears to hear, for your breath to breathe, for your tiredness to be here, for your comfort or discomfort to be here. There's no need for waiting. Live the present moment the way it is. There's no need for waiting. Live the way it is. And then I can sense these waves of mind. It comes as a wave. For a few moments I heard you, but now I need to understand. For a few moments I was hearing you. Yeah, I heard. I stayed myself for a few moments, but now I need to understand more. You see how mind comes up in waves. There's a certain need, a certain pull, a certain necessity to use the mind. Because if you don't use the mind, your body is gonna disappear. I'm telling you, that is a joke. Of course, your body is not gonna disappear. You're not gonna disappear. If you don't use your mind, your body is not gonna disappear. Then it comes the natural way of life. How do you do things? By doing things. How do you eat? By eating. How do you do anything? By doing. You don't have to think. You don't have to. Thinking is unnecessary. Maybe you can use the thinking for planning. You can use it if you can use the mind if you want to. It's still available to be used, but not being in it. Planning, organizing, solving certain complex things. It's still available even in the natural state. It's available to be used, but you're not controlled by it. You're not in it. You use it naturally, just like you drink food and eat food and go for a walk. If you need to plan something, you plan it, but you're not in the mind anymore. You're not in it anymore. It doesn't cause you problems anymore. It's just a tool, like your focus is a tool. The planning capacity is a tool. So yes, you're gonna live your life totally fine. You're gonna be able to do everything that you need to do. But you don't really need the mind to live, to survive. So get to this naturalness first, and then you can use it if you need to. It's just a tool. But somehow the tool has taken over, and that's not good. So therefore, come back to yourself and allow the body to do what it needs to do, what it wants to do. Do not control your body. Try this practice as well. It is just a little thing. Do not control your body. Just don't control it. So you may notice that some things will be arising and like, oh, I can't not control my body. Yeah, that's just a little reflection.